So, Jesus and Moses were playing golf. No doubt in St. Petersburg, one of the few cities that can right now. Just saying, give ourselves a recognition on that. And so they come upon a body of water, and Moses says, Jesus, what club are you going to use for the ball to go over the water? And Jesus said, I'm going to use the 5-iron. Moses says, you're kidding. The 5-iron, ain't going to cut it. And Jesus said, well, that's what Arnold Palmer says to do. So he pulls up, and he does that. Ball goes right in the water. Moses went, see, I told you. But Moses, having compassion, doing what Moses does, walks across the water and gets the ball back. And he brings it up to Jesus and says, okay, now what are you going to do? Jesus said, well, I'm going to do what Arnold Palmer said. I'm going to use the 5-iron. Moses, really? Okay, so Jesus then comes up and ball goes right in the water again. So Jesus doing what Jesus does, he walks across the water and to get the ball. Well, by this time a crowd had gathered, and they're just all of them, and you could hear them, and Moses could hear them say, who does that man think he is, Jesus Christ? And Moses looked at him and said, no, he thinks he's Arnold Palmer. I love that. I love that idea. It reflects my life many times. I'm sure it reflects yours many times as well. Listening to somebody else's way other than your own. Perhaps admiring or comparing yourself to someone else. Why is it happening to them and it isn't happening to me? I'm sure none of you do that, but we'll just talk about it so you can recommend the video later to your friends and family. So sitting in that space, and so in igniting and inspiring and invigorating spirit within, the key fundamental truth is owning your life plan, owning your voice, owning your connection, owning your spirit, to do it your way. Frank Sinatra-ish. To do it, you do it your way, and not comparing yourself to anyone else, whether you have a condition right now and you're going, well, so-and-so did the alternative route, but if you don't believe it, don't do the alternative route. Whatever it may be that's for your life and for your call, it must come through you as you. To me, that's the real art of unity teaching, is that you come here and you gather in sacred places, not so we can tell you what to think, not so you can do it my way or Jeff's way or the AV's way, but so we can teach you how to think for yourself. Yes, that's where we ignite, is when we come to recognize, until you've written the book, until you've played the harp, until you've played the piano, until you've loved, until you have healed yourself totally and completely, totally in remission for the rest of this life and all the 8 ones to come of cancer, until you've done it, it hasn't been done. And it comes through us in a way that has the immensity of power. But as long as we compare ourselves to anything, anyone, any church, any person, individual, it zaps our energy. Practice it when you go home today, just for a couple of minutes, and then get back to it. But practice it. Start talking about what somebody else has that you don't have. And watch you just become the melting witch on Welcome Home. Do you hear me? Believe me, I've done it. I've been there, done that, got pictures. And selfies. This is me when I was really happy for them. People ask me, what ignites you? I had lunch with a couple on Friday, and they said, what inspires you about Unity and Unity Campus, First Unity, about the church? What inspires you? First of all, I'd say, well, how much time do you have? But if you want the simple answer, it's when I'm standing in the lobby there and 2 little kids come running down the hall to see me. Open arms. That changes me. That ignites me. It's seeing in the eyes of someone a sense of helplessness to go to a place of knowingness. It's seeing someone come up and say, the diagnosis was a fact. My healing is now a truth. That ignites me. That ignites me. Fostering a little lab this weekend, though I probably won't be doing it again. Well, it ignited me because I had no idea little puppy labs could reach so high and so far. I mean, they ought to teach people how to be assertive. They will take your plate. I'm sorry. They will take your plate. I am like, thank you for sharing, you beloved creature of God. I need your enthusiasm. I got to work on myself a little bit more. Take your plate. Wow, to be ignited about that. In Scripture in Acts 2:28, we are told, you have made known to me the ways of life. You will make me full of gladness with your presence. You have made known to me the ways of life. That's what we talk about every time we gather. We talk about the ways of life. We talk about that we don't spend our lives arguing with the ways of life. The ways of life have a rhythm. They have a vibration. If we go with the ways of life, our life is working. We are ignited. We are inspired. But if we go against the ways of life, it's like moving your hand on wood in the wrong direction. What do you get? Special, yes. Splinters. And like a lot of things that are the wrong directions in our life, they hide for a while. They hide for a while. When you go with the grain of life, then it is the pleasure to be glad. It is the pleasure to be joyous. I'm reminded of a story with it being Super Bowl Sunday. And sometimes I feel like a spiritual athlete, don't you? Come on, here we go. Yeah. Bring on the growth. Yay! But in that, when we think about football, I think of Vince Lombardi. And I think about who he was and what he stood for. And on this one particular day, it was muggy and it was hot, and he saw the team playing, and he looked at one of his guards, and as he would do, he had a speaker's voice. And he would take the field with that voice. And so he went up to this huge man and he said to him, son, you are a lousy football player. You cannot tackle, you cannot block, you cannot put out, you're done today. Go to the shower room. And so, there he goes, walking, head down. He's in the shower room. About 45 minutes later, Vince Lombardi, he walks in there, sees the young man. He's hovered over. He's crying. He said, young man, I didn't finish the story. I didn't tell you the other part. You are a lousy football player. And you cannot block, and you cannot tackle, and you cannot put out. But son, let me tell you something. Inside you is a great football player, son. And I'm going to stand by you until that great football player comes out. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that powerful? You think about that in your life. You think about those defining moments in your life. You see, I'm an advocate in society for us sharing with people what we think and feel. I don't know how we got to a place that we're supposed to apologize if we tell somebody that we think they could do better. I don't know why we don't make it okay if we correct our children or discipline them. I don't know where we stop saying, hey, I see greater for you, without feeling that it's too much of criticizing for a person's well-being. I don't know where I would be if I did not have a spiritual Vince Lombardi in my life. with it being Friendship Sunday. It tears me up. I go to my knees on Friendship Sunday because I think to myself, some friend saw something that I didn't have. Some friend said to me, Temple Hayes, you have great ideas, but girl, your life is messed up, honey. You need help. And you need to get in the rhythm of your life. And I am a friend, and I am going to stand by you while you sober up. I'm going to stand by you because I believe within you there is the Spirit within you that can draw out of you the possibilities and the potential that you were born to have. Does that resonate with you? Wow. How grateful. How do you thank somebody that does that? How do you thank a friend that sees something for you? How do you thank somebody, a colleague here at Unity that says, hey, you can be more talented? How can you look at somebody like Jeff Snyder just playing 4 notes on Sunday when he belongs in his glory? Am I right? That is how we get invigorated, is because we're able to see for others. And sometimes we all need to surrender and let other people see for ourselves what we are just too blocked to see. Have you ever been blocked? Yeah, a couple of you. I know. Me too. Me too. A minister decided to inspire some of the kids and went to visit them in Sunday ministry, and he was talking to them about what made a good sermon and got their feedback on it, and he was hoping that one of them would want to one day grow up to be a minister, like Katerina said, from watching a dog and cat to becoming a vet, a big dream. And so he's asking the little kids, and little Johnny said, well, the best sermon is the one that has a good beginning. And the minister said, oh yeah, you mean introduction. And then little Sally spoke up and said, well, the best sermon is the one that has a good ending. And the minister said, that's a good conclusion. That's what they teach us. And then little Billy spoke up and he said, well, preacher, he said, you've never done this. But the best sermon would be when you have an introduction and a conclusion and very little time in between. So that means something to you. I'll have to process that during the week. But that's what it feels like in our life when we pray, when we have this introduction of knowing where we're coming from. We have this great ending to our lives of where we say we want to be. And all the time in between is the journey of the message, according to our beliefs, of inspiring, igniting, and invigorating, and the power, that goes in the midst of all of that. In the great scheme of things, it's truly a short ride, isn't it? Yes, but a blessed one and a rich one. With it being our football day, I'm reminded of a story of Rudy. I don't know how many of you have seen the movie Rudy. It's by far one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in all times. True story. Here's a man that was dyslexic. He had various problems, but he had a dream. He had a dream, and he wanted to be a football player. And he went from place to place, and he wanted to make his father proud. He went through all different kind of directions of trying to get to a place to play football. And what he wound up with is he wound up being the practice person, the dummy for the other team, his 60 teammates, that he could get them to practice blocking using his body as the block. And his team loved him, and they adored him. And they could see for him something so great and so grand. And he kept on, I just want to make my father proud. And so they have this amazing championship game. And the coach has said, run out the time. But all the players wanted Rudy to play. They were determined Rudy was going to play, and they said, Coach, he can have my jersey. He can have my jersey. He can have my jersey. And the coach said, go ahead and run out the time. And so, with the wisdom of the quarterback and the team, they did not follow those instructions. They did not do what they were told. And here's where we pick it up.
It's just occurred to me what the student body has been chanting for the last 2 or 3 minutes. It's the name Rudy. Dan Rudy, a walk-on senior, subject of a feature article in yesterday's student newspaper, The Observer, after toiling for 2 years and partying. All right, go get it, kid!
Since 1975, no other team member has been lifted by his teammates off the field. Rudy has gone on to change lives, win numerous awards for his bravery, for his courage, and proving you can do it. And it started out with he was ignited, he was inspired, he was invigorated because he wanted to make his father proud. I want to make my Father proud, don't you? My Father of heaven, my Creator, the intellect that created me to be on this dimension to bring heaven from earth. Wow. The universe is chanting each and every one of us by our names, our life plan. It's written. God bless you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you.